Our school formation goal for 2018 is to develop students' critical and analytical skills in regard to understanding Scripture and applying their learning to their life situation. Students are accustomed to having the purpose and aim of their learning made known to them at the start of a learning task. This is called the learning intention. A success criteria allows students to self-assess their understanding and account for their learning. You will now have a taste of some of the learning experiences, similar to ones your child may have, to assist in reaching a deeper level of understanding. For this time, we will begin with the Scripture.
Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 32. The parable of the prodigal and his brother. Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property, that it will belong to me.' So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and travelled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare, but here I am dying of hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to find his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate."
Let's now consider this story again, in the context of our own life experience.
You ever get tired of your just boring day-to-day life? I do. I should say I did. Then I decided to do something about it. Conventional wisdom says you live your life, you grow up, your parents die, they leave an inheritance for you. That wasn't working for me. I wanted to enjoy that inheritance now, so I decided to do something about it. So one day, I walked straight up to my dad, looked him square in the eye, and I said,
"Dad, I want what's coming to me right now." That's what my youngest son said to me. At that moment, all I could think of was, I'd like to give what's coming to him right now. But he's my son, and I love him. And as much as it put an ache in my heart, I gave him the money, and I told him that he could go search for a life on his own. Not long after that, he packed his bags, and the next thing I knew,
I was out of there. The friends, the food, the clothes, it was great. Until
my son's money ran out around the same time the country hit a recession.
It was bad. Really bad. I'd squandered everything my dad had given me, and I didn't have anywhere to live, anything to eat. So it was hunger pains, the constant reminder of how I'd squandered my life away. I lived in agony day after day.
After day after day, I would watch and I would wait. And my heart would ache, as only a heart can, from a parent to a child. But hear me on this. I never once gave up on my child. I knew that he would come back one day.
One day it hit me. I realized my dad's lowliest worker was living like a king compared to me. So I had an idea. See, I would go up to him and I would humbly just ask him for a job. I couldn't expect him to take me back as his son, but maybe he would give me a job, just maybe.
It was a beautiful day. I was sitting there on the porch, just enjoying the cool breeze. And that's when I saw him.
He stood up. He looked in my direction, and he squinted his eyes to kind of get a better look at me. Wondered if he would take me back. And then my dad jumped off the porch.
You know what I did next? I ran.
I'd never seen him run so fast. He was like this kid who was excited about something, and then I realized he was excited about me.
My heart was pounding so fast, I just had to get to him.
He was running at me with his arms stretched out as if to say, "Welcome home."
Welcome home! Welcome home! And as I got closer to him, I could see tears in his eyes.
My dad was crying.
Tears of joy. And you know what my boy did next? He jumped.
I couldn't help it. I jumped right into my dad's arms, and you know what he did?
Well, I fell backwards. He's a big boy.
He held me. He held me like only a father could. I just kept saying to him over and over again, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't deserve to be called your son."
My son. My son is home. Get him some clean clothes. Get him some shoes for his feet. Let's prepare a meal. No. Let's prepare a feast. For my son will no longer live as an orphan. Today we will celebrate, for all my hopes have come true.
I guess it was hope. Hope that kept me going all those days. Hope that my father would show me mercy. Hope that somehow he would take me back and that I could be forgiven.
Forgiven. It is all forgiven. And it is forgotten. And I will never bring it up again. There is no anger. There is no shame. There is no blame. All that's left is just pure joy. For my child was lost, and now he's found.